Okay, you've heard that ChatGPT Work is incredibly powerful and it's supposed to make your life a lot easier. But with so many features and terms like plugins, computer use, and local folders, you don't even know where to get started. Trust me, I get that. I was in the same boat when I first looked at ChatGPT Work. But I figured out that understanding it really just comes down to learning 10 simple concepts. Once you understand these, ChatGPT Work will finally click and everything else about it will make a lot more sense. So just give me a couple of minutes and I will explain all 10 of these concepts in a very simple way that I promise you're going to understand. We'll start by coming to chatgpt.com. Up here at the top, you'll find a toggle where you can switch between chat and work. And this is the first concept I want to cover: when you should be using work and when you should just use chat. And the distinction is very important because if you come down to your name on the bottom left and click on that and click on settings, you'll find a setting in here for usage. This is your weekly usage limit for ChatGPT Work, but this limit doesn't apply to chat conversations. So the more that you can use chat conversations, the further that your ChatGPT subscription is going to go because it's not going to count against this usage limit. So when do you use chat and when do you use work? The simplest way to think about this is that chat is for answers, explanations, brainstorming, anywhere where you're going to have a back and forth, just conversation. And work is for delegating a project or task with a finished result that you can review. I have a few examples here to highlight the difference. So here I used chat to ask ChatGPT what are the latest breakthroughs in robotics. It worked for about a minute, did some research, and pulled together this answer in the chat telling me all the current breakthroughs in robotics. On the other hand, I then used ChatGPT Work and asked it to put together a report for me in Notion that details what are the latest breakthroughs in robotics, and asked it to create a new database for me and then create an infographic highlighting one of the most interesting ideas and put it in an email draft for me. Here you can see it worked for 5 minutes and it created this database inside of Notion with all of these different breakthroughs as separate pages. It also created for me this image and attached it to an email draft ready for me to send. So with chat, I just asked it a question, but with work, I actually gave it an assignment with an end product, both the database in Notion and the infographic. And that's another distinction. If you needed to create and do multiple things for you, work is usually the better solution. And if it's something that's going to take longer, work is usually the better choice. The key is just to make sure that you're using the right tool for the right type of query. That way you are able to maximize your ChatGPT subscription. For that last example, I showed you how to use ChatGPT Work on the web. But now I want to show you how to use it on the desktop app because it unlocks some additional capabilities. So if you haven't done this already, come to chatgpt.com/download and make sure you download the desktop app. Here is mine right here. And it looks very similar to what we saw on the web. Up here at the top, we can switch between chat and work. But what's different about the desktop app is this feature right here that says choose project. You can select a folder on your computer that ChatGPT will work inside of, and it'll have access to all of the files inside that folder. So if we click here where it says add folders, you can then select the folder that you want ChatGPT to have access to. So I could select this one right here, for instance, that says my notes, and then click on open. And now I can ask ChatGPT questions about what's in that folder or ask it to create things in that folder. So for instance, I might ask it, just give me a quick recap of everything in this folder. And here you can see it did that. It went through, it saw that there were 19 files and gave me a recap of all of them. So I followed up with it and said, okay, now take the data from all those documents and insert them into the spreadsheet that already exists in that folder. And it did that for me. We can see that information that's been added to that spreadsheet right here. So the point is it can not only read what's in the folders, but also make updates to the files. So I'll call that feature local access. It allows you to maintain control over your files without uploading them to the cloud. But ChatGPT Work can connect to all the popular third-party tools that you probably use, and you can do that with plugins. Plugins can be found right here on the left by clicking where it says plugins. And this is the third concept that I want to cover. It gives ChatGPT access to all of these different tools that you probably already use to run your business. So we have some very popular ones here like Gmail. You can connect to Google Sheets. You can connect to Notion, which I showed you before, Google Calendar, and Asana. You can also search for any plugin to see if it's available. Here, for instance, I will search for Granola. And then to add any plugins, you click right here where it says install. That will then open up your browser where you can sign into your app. So here I will sign in using my Granola login. It'll then ask you to allow access. You click on that, and then it'll take you back to ChatGPT. Then to use the plugin, just type in the @ symbol and type in the name of the plugin, and ChatGPT Work will be able to use that when you are giving it work. All these plugins will work a little bit differently, but usually ChatGPT Work can not only pull information from the plugin, but can also write to the plugin. So for example, with Notion, it not only has the ability to read notes in my Notion account, but like I showed you before, it can also create new notes. The next concept I want to talk about are scheduled tasks. You can find those by clicking on the left here where it says scheduled. And these are pretty easy to understand. You can have ChatGPT automatically run tasks for you. What most people get wrong about these though, is that they think that scheduled tasks can only run once per day, but that's not true. You can have them run multiple times per day, or maybe once a month if you wanted to, and it can even do things like monitor situations and update you if there's some change. For instance, right here is a scheduled task that I set up last month for a flight status watch. And clicking on it, you can see what the task is. I basically just asked ChatGPT to keep an eye on 2 different flights and to update me if there were any meaningful changes like a delay, a cancellation, or a gate change. Setting one of these up is very easy. You just click on the left here where it says new chat, make sure you have work selected, and just describe what you want ChatGPT to monitor or what tasks you want it to run on a schedule. Something as simple as every day at 8 a.m., check my email inbox for any new emails and draft replies for all of them. And then it'll go and set that up on a schedule for you. This next concept is one of my favorite things that you can do with ChatGPT Work. Now it only works on the desktop app, but once you have it open, click on the top right here where it says toggle side panel. That opens a browser inside of ChatGPT. So you can click up here and navigate to any website that you want, and it'll keep you logged in between sessions. Because this is inside of ChatGPT though, you can always ask ChatGPT questions about what's on the page that you're looking at, or just ask ChatGPT to take over the browser for you. For instance, here I will tell it to go through my X feed and find posts that are getting a lot of engagement. So here you can see it is now scrolling through my feed for me and taking over and looking and doing this research for me. That's not too exciting because that's something I probably do faster myself, but imagine now I set that up as a scheduled task. Browser control like this isn't anything new. It's existed for a while now, but in the past you needed a Chrome extension for it to work. But because it's built into the ChatGPT app, I find that it works really well and I'm using it a lot more, especially with those scheduled tasks, so I can have my research done for me and waiting for me every morning. This thing can fill in forms for you, do research that requires access to a real browser, reply to messages. Honestly, it can do so much that I could probably make an entire video just on browser use because it unlocks so many cool use cases. If that's something you'd be interested in, just let me know in the comments section down below. If enough people want it, I'll make a full video on the ChatGPT browser and everything that I've discovered that you can do with it. But what if the tool you want to use is not in a browser, but is instead an app on your computer? For that, you can use computer use. Using the desktop app, type in the @ symbol and type in the name of the app you want ChatGPT to use. For this example, I will type in notes because I want computer use to be able to access and write for me a new note inside of Apple Notes. With that selected, I will now tell it, create my to-do list as a new note in the Notes app in the folder called New Folder. You can see on the right now, it is writing out that list for me. And it even has its own cursor so it can work in the background without disrupting what I'm doing in the foreground. Computer use works with every app on your computer, meaning ChatGPT can open it up and complete tasks for you inside of those apps. The next concept you need to know about are skills. Skills are just repeatable workflows. So if you come back to this example where I asked ChatGPT Work to put together a report for me inside of Notion about the latest in robotics, I really like what ChatGPT Work produced for me. It created a bunch of pages in Notion for me, and it created an infographic. So now every time I ask it to do research or to put together a research report for me, I wanted to do this exact same thing, set it up in Notion and create an infographic. So I can turn that into a skill. And skills are so easy to set up because you just ask ChatGPT Work to set up the skill for you. I'll do that right here. I'm asking it to create a skill. So every time I ask it to put together a research report for me, it will build something similar in Notion and the infographic just like it did here. Now you can see that it created that skill. You can see it called it Research Report Notion Skill. And in the future, if I ever want to use that skill again, I can just say something as simple as create a research report for me about, and then just type in the subject that I want the report about, and it'll automatically use that skill. The next concept you need to know about are sites. ChatGPT sites will use ChatGPT to build out an entire website for you, including hosting. So right here, you can see some examples. I built out a website for a 7th grade science class, and you can see it has all the homework for the week here, upcoming tests that are coming, class rules, and study resources. Here's another one that I put together for a birthday party and all the information about the birthday party, and you can RSVP in here. But you can also use this to build personalized dashboards. So here's one that I built that gets updated every morning, and it's an email triage where it goes through my email inbox, answers all or drafts replies to all the emails and triages it, and then puts together this dashboard for me. And because it hosts the websites, I can access this on my phone or from any computer, so I can do it on the go. Building a site is really easy because all you have to do is come over and type in @site and then describe what you want the site to look like and what you want it to do, and it will build it out for you. I made an entire video about all the cool things you can do with ChatGPT sites. I'll link that up at the end, and I'll also have it up here for you if you want to just jump to it right now. As we've been using ChatGPT Work, there's something that's silently been happening in the background that you need to be aware of. Some of the tasks that we've started only exist here on my computer, and others are in the cloud. If you come over here to your recent tasks and you hover over them, it will reveal which tasks are which. This one, for instance, says that it runs in the cloud. This one, on the other hand, runs on your computer. And that's the next concept you have to understand, the difference between local tasks and cloud-based tasks. Here inside the desktop app, for instance, I will click right here on this computer icon and switch to in the cloud. Then I'll just type in a simple task like find some trending AI topics and add them to a new doc in Google Docs. And as that's working, I can use the ChatGPT app on my phone and see the exact same task here because that's all happening in the cloud. So what's the real difference between local tasks and cloud tasks? Well, cloud tasks don't need your computer on in order for them to run. I can start the task here in the desktop app, on the web app, on my phone, and then turn off that device and it will still run and I can pick it up again from any other device. A local task though, one that runs on my computer, it needs my computer to be on and the ChatGPT app to be open for the task to run. I can still access it from my phone, but only if my computer is on. Some tasks need to be local on your computer, and that involves anything that requires local access, like if I give it access to files on my computer, that requires it to use on your computer local tasks because obviously it needs that connection to the files on my computer. Also, if I'm using computer use, obviously I have to have selected on your computer in order for that to work. But for everything else, it can be cloud-based. That includes all the plugins and any tasks and schedule tasks that don't require access to local files. The next concept you have to learn is how to master the ChatGPT app on your phone. So when you open up the app, up here at the top, you'll be able to switch between chat and work, just like I showed you before. And over here on the left, under recents, you will see all your recent chats, which are always cloud-based. And you will see all of your recent ChatGPT Work tasks that are also cloud-based. So for instance, right here, it says Robotics Breakthrough Report. And if I select this one, this is a ChatGPT Work task, but I'm able to see it here and continue this conversation and task inside of this because it is cloud-based, because we had selected cloud for this one. But what if it is a local task? Let's say I'm using the ChatGPT desktop app and I started a task like this one right here that, as you can see, is running on my computer. Well, like I mentioned before, if I then turn my computer off, I will not be able to access this task. I will not be able to see it on any other device. However, as long as my computer remains on and this ChatGPT app remains open on my computer, then I can access it from the ChatGPT app on my phone. To do that, you can click on the left menu and click on Remote. Then at the top here, you want to select the computer that's running that task locally, which in this case is my MacBook. And then here, if I scroll down to all of the chats, I can see all of them right here, the ones that I started on my computer. And here is the task that we were just looking at. So this is a way to remote into your computer using the ChatGPT app. The final concept I want to show you, and one that I'm actually really excited to show you, is the voice mode inside of ChatGPT Work, because it's really good. And using this, you can do everything else I already showed you. All you have to do is click right here to start a new voice chat and tell it what you want done. Hey, ChatGPT, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you loud and clear.
All right, so I need you to create a new site for me using your Sites tool. And this will just be a quick site for a party I have coming up next month. And that will be in Boulder, Colorado at 5 p.m. on the 30th. So just spin that up real quick. And then create another task where you go inside of my Granola account and pull the latest meeting and get like a synopsis of it, a recap of it, and send that over to John in a new email. John's contact is already in Gmail. He just sent me a message earlier today, so just reply to that one.
Let me take care of those.
And now it's just going out and doing those tasks. So everything that I've shown you that you can do inside of ChatGPT Work, it can do with voice mode. And you see here, the voice that I'm talking to is a delegator, and it's delegating this to other tasks. Here, it started a new chat that has the work that I want done for that meeting recap sent to John. So it's not all being done in this one thread. It's actually sending it out to other chats. And then this one is just really the orchestrator. So it's a really cool feature. I really encourage you to play around with it and to use it, interact with it, because it's a very natural way to work with ChatGPT Work. You now know all 10 of the most important concepts that you need to get the most out of ChatGPT Work. Now it's time for you to jump in and start using it yourself. But if you want to learn more about those ChatGPT sites I mentioned before, check out this video right here. Like I mentioned before, you can use this to create custom dashboards that will automatically update for you that you can then access on your phone. So if you want to see what that's all about, click on this video right here, and I'll see you over there in 1 second. Bye for now.